Hello everybody, my name is James, hope you're doing well and welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about a major update on Lewis Hamilton's race engineer, as well as an ex-Formula 1 driver securing a new race seat after being dropped. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more Formula 1 content. Also make sure to follow me on Instagram and X at James's Pet Lane. I'll leave links in the description. But let's jump straight into the video. So let's start with Jack Doohan. Now in 2025, he managed to secure a Formula 1 race seat with Alpine. However, following the Miami Grand Prix in May, Doohan was dropped and replaced with Franco Colapinto, and Doohan ended up in a reserve role at Alpine, and at the end of 2025, Doohan split with Alpine altogether, and in 2026 he's now a reserve driver with Haas. Now moving to Haas does provide a pathway back to Formula 1. I mean, if Doohan does a good job as a reserve at Haas, and let's say Oliver Bearman gets called up to Ferrari, for example, or moves to another team, a seat could open up at Haas and Doohan could fill that seat. In the meantime though, Doohan has secured his return to competitive motorsport after Nielsen Racing announced the Australian will contest the European Le Mans Series in 2026. And while for Doohan, the switch to endurance racing represents a significant departure from the open-wheel Formula cars that have defined his career trajectory, nonetheless, he is excited about the opportunity, with him saying, "I'm very excited to be back racing. It's almost going to be 12 months since my last race. Amazing to do it with Nielsen Racing and to make this transition into sports cars. There's a lot to learn, and it's extremely important to get some seat time, but we'll get acclimatized quickly, having a great team around me to do so, and I can't wait to get started." But let's move on to Lewis Hamilton. Now in January, it was confirmed that Hamilton would get a new race engineer. Basically, when Hamilton joined Ferrari in 2025, Riccardo Ademi was his engineer. But some awkward radio messages between the pair during the season had led to talk that things were not working as well as had been hoped, and Hamilton frequently insisted that the pair of them were getting on well, and that it was wrong for people to read too much into conversations taking place in the heat of the moment. But yeah, just before the first pre-season test in Barcelona this year, it was confirmed that Ademi would no longer work with Hamilton, with Ademi moving into a new role within its Formula 1 organisation. However, heading into 2026, Ferrari had not hired a permanent new race engineer for Hamilton, so Carlo Santi took over the duties, who is the current head of remote engineering at the team. However, it looks like Hamilton's permanent race engineer is set to take up his role from the next race in Miami at the beginning of May, with this set to be Cedric Michel Grosjean. Now, Michel Grosjean previously spent 9 years at McLaren and became the trackside performance engineer in January 2025, and in this role he was responsible for Oscar Piastri's car performance optimization and driving development by providing direct support in all racing and testing across the 2025 calendar. Now, speculation about a move to Ferrari began earlier this year, and while following the 5-week break in the Formula 1 calendar because of the cancellation of the Bahrain and Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, it looks like Michel Grosjean is set to take up his role as Hamilton's race engineer from Miami, basically the Turkish edition of motorsport.com say. When translated to English, after Riccardo Ademi's departure in the first 3 Grand Prix of the season, Lewis Hamilton's temporary racing engineer was Carlo Santi. However, with the Miami Grand Prix, Cedric Michel Grosjean will officially take on this role. Grosjean previously served on the McLaren team. Michel Grosjean was not actively in the engineering seat in the first 3 races of the season. Instead, he followed the process closely, adapted to the team, and analysed how best to communicate with Hamilton. In particular, he focused on understanding what information was important during the race and how intra-team communication worked at Ferrari. In fact, according to the plans, Grosjean's first official race with Hamilton would be the Bahrain Grand Prix. However, this plan was postponed with the cancellation of the races in the Middle East. The situation created an advantage for Grosjean because in this process he had the opportunity to spend more time with Hamilton in the factory and fully understand the team's working methods. With the Miami Grand Prix, the collaboration between Michel Grosjean and Lewis Hamilton will officially begin. But that's going to be the video from me today. Thank you ever so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more videos, and until the next one, take care.